She humiliated me in front of our friends. That night, everything changed. This is my story. My name's James. I'm 34. I've been working as a mechanic in Louisville since I was 17. Got my own shop now, nothing fancy, just solid business from people who trust me. I'm not the flashiest guy. You won't see me posting gym selfies or bragging online. I show up, do the work, and go home to my dog, my recliner, and until recently, my wife. Melissa, she's 32, works at a dental clinic as a receptionist. Always the talkative type, bubbly, loud laugh, the kind of woman who always wants to be the center of attention, which is fine. Honestly, it balanced me out. I'm quieter. I like calm. She likes noise. It worked for a while. We met through mutual friends, dated for 2 years, then got married in 2020. Quarantine wedding. Backyard setup. It felt simple, intimate, like we were really in sync. For a couple of years it was decent. Nothing wild, nothing chaotic, just life, work, bills, pizza on Fridays, the occasional road trip. But sometime last year things shifted. She started treating me like I was just there, like background noise. I'd come home from a long day covered in oil and grease, and she'd barely look up from her phone. No, how was your day? No smile, just a lazy nod, or there's leftovers in the fridge. At first I thought maybe she was stressed. Work had gotten rough for her. New office manager she hated. Long hours. I gave her space. Try not to take it personally. But then the sarcasm started. It began as little comments. You never try anything new. You always fall asleep right after. You don't even touch me like you used to. Things like that. Said with a smirk, but there was a bite underneath. And I'll be real. I started feeling small. Like I wasn't enough. Like I was being compared to some fantasy version of a man she saw on her Instagram feed every day. Still, I let it go. Told myself we'd get through it. But the moment everything snapped, that came on a Saturday night in April. We were hosting a little game night. Something we used to do with our couple friends every few months. Nothing big, just drinks, snacks, cards, and jokes. Our friends Jenna and Mike were there, along with Vanessa and her new boyfriend Todd. I should have seen the setup. Melissa had been drinking more than usual that night. Laughing a little too loud. Showing off in that way she does when she wants all the attention on her. We were playing this game called Loaded Questions. Basically cards with prompts where you have to guess who said what. Someone pulled a card that said, "Who in this room would write the worst sex advice column?" People laughed, started scribbling their answers. Mike said, "Come on, be honest." Melissa snorted and said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Definitely James. He's a sweet guy. But let's just say he's not exactly rocking my world." The room went dead silent. It was one of those moments where even the music in the background seemed to cut off for a second. I just sat there, frozen, holding a beer I suddenly didn't want. My ears started ringing. I looked over at her, thinking she was joking. Like maybe she'd followed up with a laugh or a wink to say, "I'm just messing." But she didn't. She just sipped her drink and smiled. No one said anything for a second. Then Jenna, her best friend, no less, said, "Damn Mel, that's harsh." Melissa just laughed and shrugged. "He knows I'm just kidding." That was her way out. Always, just kidding. Problem is, the damage was already done. I got up, grabbed a bag of chips off the counter and walked out onto the porch. Sat in silence. I wasn't going to make a scene, but inside, I felt like someone had punched me in the chest in front of everyone I knew. A few minutes later, Jenna came out. She sat next to me and didn't say anything at first. Just handed me another beer. She crossed the line. She finally said. I nodded. Yeah, she does that sometimes. Especially when she wants attention. I don't care about the attention, I said. I care that she disrespected me like I was just some joke. Jenna turned to me and said something I wasn't ready for. For what it's worth, she's wrong. I looked at her. She wasn't smiling. She was dead serious. Her tone. Her body language. It wasn't flirty. It was sincere. I didn't know what to say, so I just said, thanks. She gave me a small nod and walked back inside. I stayed on that porch for the rest of the night, even after the guests left. Melissa didn't come out. She didn't even text to check on me. When I came in hours later, she was passed out on the couch, half a bottle of wine still on the table. I watched her sleep for a moment. And for the first time in our entire marriage, I didn't feel love. I felt resentment. Because you can fight. You can argue. You can disagree. But when your own wife mocks you in front of others, laughs at your masculinity like it's a punchline, that's not just hurt. That's humiliation. Over the next few days, I kept my distance. I still talked to her, acted normal. But something inside me shifted. That night planted a seed. And once something cracks like that, it doesn't go back to the way it was. She never apologized, by the way. She said, I was just being silly, right? I didn't mean it like that. But she did. And deep down I think she meant every word. After that game night, things between me and Melissa didn't just go back to normal. Honestly, I don't even know what normal was anymore. I still wanted to work like I always did. Still woke up at 6:30, fed Duke, made my coffee, got in the truck and opened the shop. But everything fell off. Like I was living on autopilot. My body was showing up to life. But my mind had checked out the night Melissa laughed about my manhood in front of our friends. And it wasn't just about the sex comment. It was about what it meant. That the woman I married didn't think twice about turning my dignity into a punchline. In front of her best friend. In front of our people. In front of me. At first, I didn't know what to do with that pain. It wasn't loud or explosive. It was quiet. A slow-burning kind of shame that followed me into every room. Every conversation. Every moment of silence at dinner. And speaking of dinner, she stopped cooking. Not that I expected her to. But Melissa always liked doing those pasta wine nights once a week. She hadn't done one in months. Her idea of connecting lately was eating takeout on a couch while scrolling TikTok and commenting on people's relationship drama like she wasn't actively wrecking her own. Then came Jenna. Now let me be clear about this. I wasn't looking for attention from her. Not before that night. Jenna was Melissa's friend. We got along well, sure. But it was always casual. Friendly. I respected the boundary. But after that night, when she came out to the porch and said she's wrong, something shifted. It was subtle at first. Hey, you good? Text the next day. Then a little conversation about the game night, where she told me how awkward she felt. Then, maybe a week later, she sent me this random meme about bad dates. And we joked about how people overshare on apps. It wasn't flirting. At least not yet. But her tone? Her warmth? It felt like something I hadn't felt in a long time. Someone actually seeing me. One Thursday night, Melissa bailed on our dinner plans again. She texted me last minute and said, work drama. Too drained to go out. Rain check. That was the third rain check in a month. I didn't even bother replying. So I went to this local bar I used to hit with the guys. O'Connor's, right off Bardstown Road. I grabbed a booth, ordered wings and a beer. Just wanted to eat something that didn't come in a paper bag and be around human voices that didn't make me feel like garbage. And then Jenna walked in. No joke. Like something out of a movie. She spotted me immediately, laughed and came over. What are the odds? She said, sliding into the seat across from me like it was nothing. I looked around. You meeting someone? No. Just got off work and needed a drink. Didn't feel like going home yet. We talked for a while. Nothing heavy. She told me about a kid at the school where she worked who tried to flush a full lunch tray down the toilet. I told her about a customer who insisted I overcharge her because her 2004 Civic couldn't possibly have needed that much work. It felt easy. Normal. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't thinking about how miserable my marriage had become. But then the mood changed. We got quiet for a second. She looked at me kinda sideways and said, can I ask you something? Like personal. I shrugged. Sure. Why are you still with her? I froze. My gut clenched. I didn't expect that. Not from Jenna. I took a sip of beer, stared at the wood grain on the table. Because I'm married, I finally said, yeah, but are you happy? I didn't answer. She leaned in a little. James, I watch how she talks to you. I've heard the things she says. And it's not just that night. She does it all the time. It's like she enjoys putting you down. That hit harder than I wanted it to. Because deep down I knew it was true. But hearing someone else say it? It was like being handed a mirror and being forced to look at the bruises you've been ignoring. Then came the moment that flipped everything. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, softly, I don't know how she doesn't see it. You're a good man, James. And I probably shouldn't say this, but she's dead wrong about you. I blinked. What do you mean? She swallowed. Took a breath. I've thought about you. More than I should. And I know I shouldn't be saying that. But I hate the way she talks about you. Because I've seen the way you look at her. And it kills me that she doesn't appreciate it. I swear the air left the room. I didn't know what to do with that. I didn't even know what to feel. Part of me was flattered. Part of me was pissed. And part of me just sat there stunned. Because that was the first time in years someone looked at me like I was worth something. I didn't kiss her. I didn't touch her. I didn't cross that line. But I walked out of that bar with something I hadn't had in a long, long time. Clarity. Why I got home that night. Melissa was already asleep. TV on. Makeup still smeared on her face. Half a bottle of wine on the counter. I stood there in the kitchen, staring at her from the hallway. She didn't even flinch. And that's when I knew. I wasn't going to spend another year of my life trying to prove myself to someone who saw me as less than. I wasn't going to waste one more ounce of energy defending my worth to a woman who cracked jokes instead of holding space. Something in me snapped that night. Not in a loud, dramatic way. Not in anger. It was like a quiet door clicked shut inside my chest. I didn't know what the next step was yet. But I knew what it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be this anymore. Not the silence. Not the shame. Not the subtle digs and fake laughs and cold dinners. Jenna's words stuck with me. Not because I wanted her, but because she reminded me I was still worth wanting. That was the turning point. And I didn't say a word about it to Melissa. Because I already knew my revenge wasn't going to be loud. It was going to be patient, calculated, and permanent. After that night at the bar with Jenna, something in me changed. Not like a switch flipping. More like a slow turning of gears that had been stuck for too long. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. And let me tell you, when a man is done, not emotionally raging or begging, but really, truly done, that's when everything shifts. Melissa had no idea. She carried on like always. Acting like that night she humiliated me in front of our friends was nothing more than just a joke. She'd still throw little digs from time to time. Still roll her eyes when I talked about work. Still sleep facing the wall. But the difference now? I wasn't chasing her anymore. I wasn't trying to fix it. I wasn't waiting for her to see my worth. I stopped showing up with flowers. Stopped making her coffee in the morning. I stopped reacting. She noticed. At first she thought I was just sulking. Gave me space. Then she tried being overly sweet. Babe, wanna make you breakfast this morning? That kind of thing. I'd say nah. I'm good and walk out the door without looking back. The thing about women like Melissa, they feed off your reaction. When you stop giving it to them, they start to panic. Slowly, silently, but surely. While she kept up the act, I got to work behind the scenes. First thing I did. Moved half our joint savings into a new account under my name. I didn't touch her money. I just protected what was mine. My name was the only one on the mortgage. The house was bought before we got married. She never contributed a dime to the down payment. So I made sure the paperwork reflected that clearly. Second, I got my ducks in a row. Talked to a lawyer. Quietly. Just a consultation. Asked questions. Learned what I needed. Set things up so when the time came, I wouldn't be scrambling. I was building my exit like I'd build an engine. Slow, precise, and airtight. Meanwhile, Melissa kept spiraling in her own way. She started going out more. Girls' nights. Happy hours. Just grabbing drinks with coworkers. She'd come home late, smelling like perfume and liquor. Toss her purse on the counter and mumble, "You're still up?" Like I was the weird one. I never asked where she was. Never accused her of anything. That's what drove her crazy. She wanted to fight. She needed that emotional reaction to validate herself. To feel like she still had control. But I just let her spiral. Quietly. Calmly. Then came Jenna's birthday party. It was a Saturday night and Melissa had been invited, of course. Jenna was still her friend on the surface. But by then Jenna and I had spoken more. We didn't cross any physical lines. But there was tension. A real, undeniable one. And the way she looked at me lately, let's just say it didn't match the way Melissa did. Melissa told me she didn't feel like going to the party that night. Said she had cramps or a headache or something. I nodded and said, "All right, I'll still swing by. Say hi." She paused. "You're going." I shrugged. Jenna invited me too. Figured I'd make an appearance. That threw her off. "Art." She stammered a little. "Well, I mean, I could come if you want." I smiled. "Only if you want to. No pressure." She didn't come. I went. The party was at a rooftop bar downtown. Low lights. Good music. Cool breeze. The kind of place where people dress up just a little and pretend they're in some Netflix series. I walked in and Jenna saw me almost immediately. She smiled like she'd been waiting for me. We talked. Laughed. She touched my arm at one point. Her eyes lingered. People noticed. And Melissa? She definitely noticed. Because around 11 p.m. she showed up. Wearing a skin-tight black dress like she was walking into a red carpet event. Not a birthday party. She said she wasn't attending. Her eyes locked onto me and Jenna standing near the bar. I saw her face change. She walked over, smiled politely at Jenna, and grabbed my arm like it belonged to her. "Hey babe," she said. Loud enough for half the place to hear. I nodded. "Didn't know you were coming." She kissed my cheek like we'd been doing that all year. Plastic. Jenna smiled coolly. "Good to see you, Mel." Melissa's tone sharpened. "Same." I didn't know this was such a co-ed event. The tension was obvious. I leaned in and said very calmly, "Everything all right?" She narrowed her eyes. "Can we talk?" "In private." We stepped outside. And that's when she snapped. "What the hell is going on between you two?" I blinked. "Oh, Jenna. James. Don't play stupid." I kept my voice even. You really want to have this conversation? After the things you've said about me? In front of her? In front of everyone? She threw her hands up. That was a joke. No, I said. It was a line. A line you crossed. And you've been crossing it for months. She scoffed. So now what? You're trying to get back at me? You think flirting with her is going to fix anything? I looked her dead in the eye and said, you said I was bad in bed. She said I wasn't. I didn't plan this. You created it. She went silent. For once, she had nothing to say. And then I hit her with a final blow. I filed the divorce papers 2 days ago. You'll be served next week. Her face dropped. No, you didn't. I nodded. Yes, I did. The house stays with me. The lawyers already explained everything. She started crying. Right there on the sidewalk outside the rooftop bar. You can't just leave me. You left me a long time ago, Melissa. I'm just catching up. I walked back inside. Didn't look back. That was the night everything ended. And for once, I was the one holding the final card. Months later, I'm doing good. Really good. I kept the house. Fixed up the garage into a little side hustle detailing area. Business is strong. I got peace, man. Real peace. The kind that doesn't come with conditions or cold shoulders. Jenna and I still talk sometimes. We're not rushing into anything. I'm taking my time now. Feeling the right way. Loving myself for once. Melissa? She tried calling. Texting. Sent long messages about how she never meant to hurt me. And how she was just frustrated and feeling unseen. But I don't reply. Because now I finally see me. And I'm done begging to be seen by people who closed their eyes a long time ago. She lost a good man. I found peace. And I'll never beg to be respected again.